Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
Oh, what are you doing? I'll tell you what you're doing. You're listening to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. Either you are, or I'll be skipping rope with your entrails. Ta-ta.
This is the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. Your source for lore and so much more. Adventurers, welcome back to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. You've got me, Tom, and Lotus. And Lotus, we're doing more Iceberg stuff. You ready?
We are back into the frigid waters of the Iceberg.
The frigid waters of the Berg. We've been doing this for a while, but we are now up to number 68 of over 500 different entries. We're going to knock out the next few on this list. And Lotus, this one's really cool this week because, well, for a few reasons. We've got an interesting mix of stuff. We've got some stuff that you and I talk about pretty regularly, things that we've noticed and been like, oh, this part's really cool. And you made a joke in the pre-show that, like, I wonder if they got that idea from us. Maybe.
I know, yeah.
But maybe not.
One of them is, again, there's so many different people in the community. The odds that multiple of us stumble on the same thing, similar time-wise
pretty
or
common.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It seems pretty common, but it is kind of just one of them is much more on the nose than some of the others.
Yeah, there's a second one that's pretty close too. That are things that we talk about a lot. So who knows? Maybe we inspired this over the years. But then we've got one that I think is pretty solidly able to be debunked. So interesting that it's on the list, but I think there's probably a reason why it's not actually true. And then we've got some other ones that are just like a little bit kind of out there and weird. So here, let's get into it. This is number 67 on our list. And if you haven't heard the other ones yet, then go back and check out the previous episodes. This one, the entry, and again, we pulled this list. I just found the biggest iceberg list I could possibly find online. I don't know who the author was. I don't know who consolidated all of these, but we're just pulling that list. And this one, the entry is called Soul Trade. And the first explanation that came on the list is this. Ngasta, a slowed necromancer in Redguard, awesome, briefly...
He's one of my favorite character models in the series. I'm just going to throw that out. Nagasta rules, and I use his little gif in a lot of inappropriate situations because he looks like a slug.
Yeah, and he's got like this little rectangle face.
Yes, he's a very pointy slug wearing a coat.
Yes. So he's a slowed necromancer in Redguard, briefly describes an illicit soul trade that he and his patron, Clavicus Vile, participate in. The ideal masters of the Soul Cairn have also been described as soul merchants. We have an entire episode about the Soul Cairn and the ideal masters, so go check that out if you want more of that. The concept of soul trading is also mentioned in the 36 Lessons of Vivek and the Tatter Damalian mod. I don't
love it.
I don't know, whatever that is.
I can't outpronounce that, so go for it.
Yeah. Which explains that the economy of the lunar colonies and potentially the rest of Oblivion is based around the trade of souls and soul gems. Lotus, we have discussed the fact that it seems like there's some evidence here that at least some of the Daedric princes are doing something. The souls are more valuable to them than we might know. There's something going on there, right?
And we've alluded to the fact in various different episodes where it's like, does worship and souls provide them power, or, is it a form of currency?
Right.
But why would it be a form of currency if there was not some type of deeper value to it?
Yes.
So it's interesting because it's never super dove into, but at the same time, it's made appearances and referenced many times throughout the series, regardless of who the director of it is. Because, yes, Todd Howard kind of started to, I would say, take command around the time of Redguard.
Yeah, that was his first major project where he was lead developer. Yeah.
Right. But we've seen it throughout the series in various points, and that's kind of, but it's so much as it was alluded to, maybe a little less with the soul trade, but we dealt with the soul Karen and stuff like that.
And there's technology for just taking and storing and transporting soul gems.
Correct. And it dates back to even before with Battlespire, like the concept of Battlespire. One whole level is the soul Karen, and kind of like touches on it with the Ideal Masters. So it's been around for a long time in the series. It's permeated many, many games. So it seems like it's got some type of credence to it. They just maybe haven't super explained it yet.
Yeah. And I like that this one talks about specifically Angasta, and there's a book called The Maelstrom Arena, which is kind of a reference here. But here, I'm going to read through the references that I pulled up, because this is, I don't know, the closest thing you can find to a quote directly about it being a currency specifically.
Right, like an actual currency.
Yeah. So Angasta, in the conversation with Angasta, you can ask lots of different questions, and you can specifically say, the illicit soul trade, how does it work? Because he references the illicit soul trade. And his response is, if mortals knew the power they harbored, and how so unearned a grace inexplicably given by the outer gods, who provide to plenty and without good guidance, if they knew, they may wise work as hard to keep the within as much as their precious withouts. Clearly, he's using language in a slightly different way than we normally do in English, but let me say that again. If they knew, they may wise work, like figure out, as hard to keep the within as much as their precious withouts. The within being the soul, as opposed to their withouts is their body, right? That easily slipped bare skin that withers as paper before flame. For that is the truth of it. The body houses that which it cannot ever for long withstand. So he's inferring that there's something going on here with the soul and the body and them being separate, and the soul being like the eternal thing, but the body withering and going away.
Yes, it's the body's basically just like the vessel for your soul, and it will wither away, but the soul will carry on.
Right. Sorry, I'm welcoming our chatters as they come in. Then you can say which answers little. And then Angasta says, in short, the soul snare captures the smokes of silly folk who neglect the sanctity of their souls. So he's implying something about either just not being so careful that you get trapped, or that you aren't truly valuing the very precious thing that you are harboring inside of you, your soul. And it would be better used by somebody else, kind of the implication.
It's
there.
like almost like that, if you don't use it, you lose it type of thing, where it's like, look, you don't even know what you've got. So what do you need? What do you care if you have it? Because like, you don't even understand the value. In this situation with Nagasta, they're like, okay, let me have it. Like,
remember back in the day when like flat screen TVs were new, and everybody, like every other person that you saw would have one in their house, but they would have the wrong like format, and so they'd still be watching like 4:3, but they'd stretch it the whole screen.
Oh yeah, it was just long stretch.
Yeah, so everyone looked like they were dwarven warriors.
Sometimes I do. If I had to get some adapters, but when I use my N64 on my flat screen, it looks like crap if I don't orient it correctly.
But man, there were a few years there where every time I went to somebody's house for something, especially older people, it was like, oh my God, you don't even deserve this TV. You don't even, like, how do you guys not realize that what you're looking at looks like garbage? But anyway, that's kind of how Nagasta feels in this situation.
Yeah.
So there's another piece here. So Lord Fa-Nuit-Hen and Tutor Riparius answer your questions. This is the Maelstrom Arena Part 1.
Yeah.
Tutor Riparius says, but of course, perhaps I can shed a little bit of light on the subject. Long ago, as you reckon such things, the Ideal Masters were an early order of sorcerers who practiced necromancy, trafficking in souls, great, small, and fragmentary. They became very powerful and eventually found their physical form to be unacceptably weak and limited. By means which I shall not articulate, they transcended those forms and became beings of soul energy. They entered oblivion as immortals, selected an arena of chaotic creation, and created it into a pocket realm ideal for the purposes as soul merchants. This is in a book. very specifically said, and it originally came from the Lore Masters archive in 2015, which was something that was released by the ESO devs. So
right.
An expansion of that Ideal Masters lore, basically.
Right. And context for this is the Maelstrom Arena seems like it has strong ties to, oh my God, why am I spacing on the name? Bargrave, which is that sort of connecting realm between Oblivion and Nirn, and pretty much all of the Mundus. You've got that weird connecting bridge.
Right.
And this is sort of less overtly, more, subtly shown at various points and stuff like that, that there's like a connection there. Fëanor is the curator of the Maelstrom Arena. So it's interesting because he is a Daedra. That is who Fëanor is. So just as context, he is a Daedra. So he's likely dealing in said trade if there is one. So he might have context to that.
Right. And so it's interesting because they're taking this concept of the Soul Cairn and the Ideal Masters from, that would have been 17 years or something before the Maelstrom Arena was added to Elder Scrolls Online, and they're fleshing it out a little bit more and very specifically doubling down on this idea that they are trading, they are using souls as currency, which absolutely confirms this as a thing, at least in the form of currency, maybe not power, but currency. So I think the soul trade as currency, I think we need the Mythbusters approved. Like, this is approved. This feels like it's legitimate lore that at least there is evidence for trading souls as currency. So there you go. Pretty legit, pretty solid. All right, on to the next one, number 68. We're going back to Skyrim. Fort Dawnguard, built for Harkon, Lord Harkon, the vampire guy. This is the explanation that came with the Iceberg. A fan theory about how the Jarl's son mentioned in the history of Fort Dawnguard was actually Harkon, and that the son dying is a misconception. Okay, so let me break this down for everybody so they understand what's going on here. According to the in-game text and dialogue, mostly from Isran and Florentius, if you remember who those characters were, Fort Dawnguard was built during the Second Era, so sometime most likely in the middle of the Second Era, by a Jarl of Riften. So that's pretty solid. It seems like there's not a whole lot to debate there. That tends to track, right? The Jarl's son contracted vampirism. Unwilling to execute his son, the Jarl secretly commissioned the remote mountain fortress as a gilded cage or prison, and hired a mercenary guard force in order to keep him locked up there, because he wasn't willing to kill him. But
yeah, you're not going to kill him, but you can't have him run around the countryside.
Make him more vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was these mercenaries who become the original Dawnguard, who eventually becomes the group that we can join in Skyrim, right? Eventually, the son corrupted or overwhelmed his guards and had to be put down after a violent breakout. The Jarl discovered this, felt betrayed, and officially exiled and disbanded the Dawnguard. So this is a very summarized version of the original events that lead to the Dawnguard and all of that. But in this original version, the son dies, dead. This theory suggests that that son was actually Harkon, and that he didn't die, he escaped. And that this was some sort of cover up for the son getting away. But there seems to be problems with this. The first one that I think, well, here, I've actually got three here. I listed two for Lotus, but another one just popped in my head. First, if he did escape, then why would his father disband the Dawnguard when they could have been the very people who could have gone after him to either kill him or bring him back into captivity? That seems a little silly.
A little weird.
Right. And now I'm going to go backwards on the list, because the first one I put on this list is actually the strongest evidence. The second one I have on here is, if we choose to believe Harkon, he claims to have sacrificed thousands to Molag Bal to earn his power, rather than to have simply caught a disease and was unintentionally turned. But the original story about the son is that he caught a disease. He didn't intentionally become a vampire, but Harkon seems to claim that was an intentional thing that he did in order to become a vampire.
Yeah, which at that point reeks of propaganda. Like, oh, look what I did, as opposed to...
Right.
Oh yeah, this just sort of
right. And Chad is starting to clue into this. There is a bigger problem here. Barky says, wasn't Harkon a king before he became a vampire? And Aridel says, isn't Harkon older? Okay, you guys are getting close here.
Yeah, you're on the right track.
You're on the right track. Number one, Serana is Harkon's daughter. She tells you about events that clearly predate these events, such as the disappearance of the Dwemer and the reign of the Snow Elves. And she has memories that seem to track back to either the end of the First Age or the very beginning of the Second Age, which aligns her as having existed as his vampire daughter before the events of the founding of the Dawnguard and the son and the father and all of that stuff.
It doesn't line up anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't line up. So it's a fun theory. It's the type of thing that could totally be like the sort of thing that they just let you figure out. You know, they kind of hint at, but don't actually explain the full evidence for things. But the timeline just doesn't fit. So I think, Barky says Mythbusters busted incoming. Yeah, I think this one's busted. This is a fun theory, but probably not.
Yeah. It can be a fun theory and still not be correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's
would
fun.
Argue
right. It's fun to try to come up with these theories, and it's fun to go, well, what if this? Sure. But sometimes there's enough evidence to just be like, well, this one not really a thing.
Yep.
So, all right. So that one's busted. Number 69, nice, is simply titled Thu'um. I believe it should be titled something like Thu'um is actually tonal magic. This is something you and I discuss pretty frequently.
Yep.
The explanation on this one is Thu'um is specifically a form of tonal magic which works by shouting words of power to effectively alter reality. This depends on the user's strength of will or their soul rather than magicka, and understanding that the tone associated with a given word and their training in that through meditation, and it's the kind of thing that you can basically learn, but it works better if you have a very powerful soul, like a dragonborn or something like that, right?
Sure.
So, you have any thoughts about this one before I get into my explanation about it, Lotus?
I mean, not really. No, you know what? I'm just gonna let you take this. We've discussed this in a bunch of different ways throughout. So yeah. Without rehashing too much, I'll let you dive into it and kind of just chime in. I guess where appropriate, I suppose, for this one.
Yeah, it has come up a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say this is one of the ones that we've dealt with many, many times.
Right. So here's my description. We've speculated about this before. From what I can tell, there isn't anywhere that specifically calls this tonal magic using those words, and could simply be a different type of power bestowed on some mortals by Akatosh. That could totally be a thing, right?
Sure.
But the fact that it can be learned and meditated on does imply that it might be more of a science than just a magical ability, like tonal magic is. The Dwemer are the group most associated with tonal magic, as far as we've seen in the lore so far, and they did live in proximity to Nords who could shout, and they're more known for science and engineering than straight up magic. So there may be something there, right? Like maybe they saw the Nords using this power and they deconstructed it, which led to scientific innovation in the space of tonal magic, because there actually is a commonality there.
Sure. And
that could be
again, without retreading everything like a million times, but like it could just simply be the kind of like that exact situation where it's like, oh, well, they can utilize sound to their advantage. Maybe we can. That doesn't necessarily make it the same thing.
Yeah. And
but it's based on a similar principle.
Right. And the Dwemer use machines to make tonal magic, whereas being able to use your own voice to do that, I mean, again,
with enough force,
right? Like
to actually make it. Yeah.
Right. Like some people have really, really developed voices and they can do sound effects with their own mouths that sound very similar to mechanical things. Like that can happen. So there is some overlap there. But the problem with this one is that we have, as far as I can find, we have no actual firm confirmation or justification between those things. We also don't have the I don't know, the history of the Dwemer, where we can go back and go, well, okay, according to this document the Dwemer wrote at the during the first era, they
based it on this.
Yeah, they were basing it off of the Thu'um or something like.
Right. It's just two things have power in the vein of sound, and it's sort of, I feel like it's sort of kind of maybe forcing a connection more than I think more than there really is one necessarily.
Yeah, if we do the Mythbusters thing, I think this one was plausible.
Yes,
but it's
I don't
lacking
think this is not
firm confirmation.
Yeah, it doesn't have, I think, enough evidence to confirm it, but I also, it wouldn't blow me away if there's like, oh no, there is a connection, we just haven't found it yet. Like it could be there. I just think it's more of like, oh well, they happen to be both. It's two things of sound equals power, not necessarily the same thing, but it's like, well, they're two different sounds, like two different car manufacturers. They're both cars that make you go forward, but they're not necessarily just the same thing. I
think my gut, if I just go with my gut, the sound is the power of the magic and tonal magic, but shout might just be a phrase that we use for the Thu'um because it seems to be the way you deliver the magic, but it may not be the source of the magic.
I would agree with that. I'm curious what people think on that one, because I feel like with the Thu'um, it feels like the sound is the focusing of this magic power, whereas tonal magic is literally, hey, we figured out that we can control. So, I mean, you could, for practicality, real life, one way, if it's a weird scenario, but like, have you ever heard one treatment if you have kidney stones, which sounds horrible? I've never had kidney stones, but
fingers crossed, please.
Yeah,
please
I was going to say, I've heard it's awful.
Yes. Yeah.
But he was always like laid out, these things are awful. And one of the best ways he ever got rid of it is he would go to the doctor, they would approve this treatment, he would go into a pool, and they would literally blast sound waves so hard it would jar him. He would bruise. It looked like he was in an MMA fight.
Yeah.
But it broke up the kidney stones and
through vibrations. That's cool.
Yes, through literal vibration. And I was like, that's so wild. But he was like, dude, it hurts so bad. Like, it actually hurts. Like, I'm being punched. And he was like bruised and stuff like that. And he was like, for the next day, I'm in rough shape. But he's like, it's better than the alternative of having kidney stones, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I had a coworker, in fact, a guy who hired me early on in my packaging career. He was the packaging engineer who hired me. And I basically learned almost everything out from him because I didn't have a degree in that. Sure. And I think it was just like a week or two after I got hired, he took a week off, and it was because of kidney stones. And he was we were in our like late 20s. It was like we were both like 28 years old. Yeah.
This was when we were in college. He used to just it was.
Yeah. That's rough. But yeah, I think that this is plausible. I think there's plausibility here. I don't
think this is out of the realm of possibility. I just don't think it's the case.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. And there does seem to be some sort of soul tied thing going on, even though the Greybeards don't have to be Dragonborn in order to use the Thu'um, but
that's true. But they sort of have a direct connection to dragons, so there's a little. Dragons are inherently pretty magical type of deals. I don't know. It wouldn't be that shocking if it turns out there is something that we discover down the line. But I would say at the moment there's not enough evidence to make me believe it.
Right. Yes, I agree. All right, on to the next one. This one I think this feels like a Lotus one to me. Number 70, Divayth Fyr Still Alive.
Probably.
So this is the explanation. Divayth Fyr and Yagrum Bagarn's survival after the Oblivion Crisis in the Red Year have been the subject of many fan theories, which have yet to be confirmed or debunked. I've got some thoughts on this, and I've got a reference here that seems like it might confirm some things, but it depends on the accuracy of the reference. So we'll get into that in a minute. But what does your gut say? And so, by the way, for people who don't know who Divayth Fyr is, because this is kind of an older reference, can you give them just like a very brief summary?
Divayth Fyr is a very, very advanced Dunmer mage who
Psijic too, right? Like
it's
Psijic adjacent.
Psijic adjacent. Is really just like one of the most old arcane hyper knowledgeable wizards with a questionable morality scale,
right.
I would say, without getting us an explicit tag for this episode. If you're really interested in Divayth Fyr, I would say you could look him up, but he does some very suspect things, as well as some pretty noble things that help you. In Elder Scrolls Online, you encounter him. But the point of this is he's already been around for an insanely long period of time,
right?
At the time of Elder Scrolls Online, and that was Second Era Interregnum period, and we know he's around in Morrowind, and he is a very long-standing mage in the series. So his magical prowess seems to also involve him extending his life just as a basis.
Right.
Being crazy old, not a weird thing when it comes to Divayth Fyr.
Yeah, and very powerful mages. So he's kind of in the category of like a Manin Marco or a Vanis Galarian.
Vanis Galarian, someone like that. It's like I almost want to say one of the original mages, so to speak.
Yeah. We don't know how old he is. He might go way back.
Thing. It's like we have no real gauge. And when you've been around since the beginning, quote unquote, of like the Mages Guild and stuff like that, it's just like, okay, the age scale starts getting hard to comprehend.
Right. And we lose track of him in the lore after Morrowind, and he doesn't show up in Oblivion or Skyrim. So, but those are also not located in Morrowind. He may not just be in those regions and be part of those stories. So we don't know. Right. When the Red Year happens, did he survive? Did he not? We don't know. But we do have some evidence here. Now, between the year 2000 and 2010, Gary Noonan, who worked with Bethesda, originally starting with Battlespire and continued with working through all of these other games as they came out, posted about and even acted as Divayth Fyr on the Bethesda forums over those 10 years. And this was a period where oftentimes the devs would respond to questions on the forums in order to try to clarify things and answer questions for fans, or sometimes they would role play as certain characters and things like that. And this whole thing is absolutely worth reading through, but we should consider that these answers may just be fun responses from one developer and may not actually be canon because, as Bethesda has said before, things aren't ever actually canon until they show up in a game.
Right. And this is where some of the interesting bits related to Kirkbride, responding on these forums, comes in. Yeah. Very similar situation is what this is. Exactly.
And the main question here is Divayth Fyr still alive? Noonan's absolute final post in this style was in 2010. The very last post. This was before Skyrim came out. And he addresses this question directly. He specifically answers the question, is Divayth Fyr alive? And the question was phrased, did he die in the Red Year? His answer, Divayth die? ? Nah. And I draw that out because he wrote NAAAAAHHHHHH ... So according to Gary Noonan, Divayth Fyr didn't die. Still around.
Yeah. Nah.
That seems to be the evidence we have. That's about all of it. So
right. So this is one of these things where it's super nebulous, and I think it's nebulous. We'll step away to a fourth wall break here. It's super nebulous in the way of, have they decided whether or not they want to use Divayth Fyr again? Because
right.
Divayth Fyr, the series has a lot of adult themes in it, but Divayth Fyr has a lot of highly questionable 90s, 2000s style things that would not land too well today. I think even in M-rated games, it would be a little...
Yeah. You get into some of this old lore
mainstream to deal with, because it is some of Morrowind lore gets real weird, and his is real weird.
Right. I think that's a good take, is that like he may still be alive, but we may not see him show back up because they might want to just they might want to just, not touch that with a 10-foot pole, that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll just leave that at the end of Wuthrod along with that. And back away. So, that's my thought, is that I actually just always assumed, he's probably still lingering around somewhere, because Morrowind left a lot of things with question marks at the end of it, and how things go. We never really know what happens to the Nerevarine. Like, you've got all these open things where I think they want them to be open originally, whether they wanted to do something with it or tie it in at a later point. But as times have changed, there's been such massive gaps between the mainline entries. It makes me wonder if maybe these things will stay kind of like
in the background,
lost in these time gaps almost, which is ironic that it's like real life time gaps cause in-game time gaps for what happened to them. So it's kind of funny because it ends up making its own lore. It's like, well, okay, what I guess you're just kind of lost to time along with it. So I don't know. I would be kind of surprised if they ever bring Divayth Fyr back substantially, although they did reference him several times in Elder Scrolls Online, to be fair. And
I mean, he could be like a secondary or tertiary character who gets referenced, but doesn't ever really take the spotlight again.
But Divayth. I mean, Divayth was way less sketchy in ESO at that point, but
sure,
it was also substantially before the time of Morrowind. So for all we know was there a substantial mental degradation that happened over that time that kind of led him into some of these I don't know, interesting life choices that Divayth Fyr did? But I was going to say, even in ESO, it was always kind of just like, whatever. Morality doesn't really matter, but he seemed like the goal was like, well, how can we be helpful here? And then it just kind of derails later on in the times of Morrowind and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So as we wrap this one up, are we going to stamp this as possible or probable?
I think this is probable. I think he's most likely still alive. And the last time they really dealt much with him was sort of just like, nah, he's not dead. Or the last time they dealt with him farther down the timeline, I should say, because ESO is prior to.
Right.
So like, yes, the fact that he's in ESO, fine, but like the farthest down the timeline would be post Morrowind. And it's like, okay, well, I think that the goal was probably to keep him still alive at that point.
Yeah, and oftentimes the developers who are answering these questions are doing so with the knowledge or approval of the lore master or the lore documents that they have and that sort of thing. So I think at most we can confirm that as of 2010, in their mind, according to the background lore that they hadn't actually put in new games yet.
The plan was for him to be alive.
Plan. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Okay, so probable, but not definite.
I would say probable, but not confirmed.
Yeah. All right. So number 71, our last one for this week.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
The Old Ways. The explanation in this is the name of the Psijic Order's belief system and of the in-game book describing it. The Psijic also consider centaurs the true followers of the Old Ways. All right, so here's my description, and then Lotus, you can chime in after I get through this.
Yeah, because this one's a little weird.
This is a little weird. It makes me think of A Song of Ice and Fire and like the Starks. Still worship the old gods and follow the old ways.
Those weird trees.
And the weirwood trees and all of that.
Weirwood trees. I was going to say, I said
weird
and trees. I meant weirwood.
The weird trees. No, wait, that's druids.
They're wrong.
Yeah, but you can tell, like we've talked about a lot of the Tolkien influence on Elder Scrolls, but it seems like there's probably things like George R. R. Martin influence as well, because those early novels were already out when these games were being made. So, but here's my synopsis of it. The book, The Old Ways, goes back to Morrowind. That was the game that officially released it. The most interesting part is this, and I'm quoting the book. We who know the old ways are well aware of the existence of a spiritual world invisible to the unenlightened, just as one living in a kingdom but unaware of the political machinations underneath may see a new tax or a battle preparation as the caprices of fortune. Many observe flood, famines, and madness with helpless incomprehension. This is deplorable. As the great Kulian Darnizon moaned, the power of ignorance can shatter ebony like glass. Remember, this is a Sijic document. What, after all, is the origin of these spiritual forces that move the invisible strings of Mundus? Any neophyte of Artaeum knows that these spirits are our ancestors, and that while living, they too were bewildered by the spirits of their ancestors, and so on back to the original Acharyae?
I literally don't know what that is.
Right. This is not a word that shows up other places, as far as I know. Yes. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to dig into this more.
But if anybody has a reference, because when I read that, I was like, I literally don't know what that is. And I couldn't find another reference point to it, because that one had me paused to the point where I was like, am I forgetting something? So if anybody knows another reference point for that word,
yes,
please do share.
Yeah, and a lot of this, it is the Sijic Order. This is an old Sijic book that originally released in Morrowind, and it feels kind of Kirkbridean in the way that they're just kind of throwing words around without any definitions.
Here's a bunch of words and phrases that we'll never say a second time. It's okay, thanks.
Right. It continues. The Daedra and gods to whom the common people turn are no more than the spirits of superior men and women whose power and passion granted them great influence in the afterlife. Certainly, this is our truth and our religion. So this seems to be implying one of two things. Either the Aedra and the Daedra originally were mortals who ascended to godhood, or what I think is more likely is that almost all of them have been mantled at some point by powerful individuals, either in this or a previous Kelpa, and time and weird stuff is the Sijic Order's thing. They know about that. And maybe... And because of that, I guess is the best way to put this, their decisions and the things they've done to interact with the mortal plane have influenced all the mortals from that point forward. But if the mortals were wiser, they would all know that they actually did descend from great people who eventually mantled these other powerful things and then became gods of themselves, which is kind of a twist on the Altmer philosophy of we all descended from the gods.
It's almost backwards.
Right. It's almost, it's a flip. We're all descended from mortals, but some of those mortals were powerful enough to have become gods.
Right.
So it's really interesting.
The inverse, I guess.
Yeah. It's really interesting. And it's also really interesting in how untalked about this is.
Yeah. This is just, I don't want to say throwaway, but this is like, this seems like this would garner more attention, this one. It's kind of surprising. It's like, okay, this to me is like pretty, when I think of an iceberg of like, okay, this is one of the ones that's like, oh, this is weird. Like, this one's weird.
Yeah. And, but it kind of makes sense. If this is secret knowledge that only the Sijics know about, that's kind of the nature of the Sijics, then maybe we don't know, you and I don't know about it because most of the people in Tamriel don't know about it.
Yeah, don't know about it yet.
So I mean, maybe there is truth underneath this, or maybe it's just a different perspective on really the same. Maybe it's the other side of the same coin in some way.
Yep.
So, okay. But they do also mention centaurs. So I dug into this a little bit, and it turns out that there is some reference here from centaurs, which actually goes all the way back to Daggerfall.
Yeah.
And it comes from the user's guide. And this is what it says. Centaurs are ancient and mysterious creatures, alternatively worshipped and despised. Legends of their exploits range from the epic to the pornographic. Talking about weird Divayth Fyr sort of stuff going on here. Perhaps for not better reason than they varied personalities. The Council of Artaeum has called the centaurs, quote, true followers of the old ways of Tamriel, referring to the complex system of ancestor worship that Artaeum itself espouses. All that can be certainly say about centaurs is that in battle, there are few who are equal.
Yeah.
So
long story short, they're really good at combat.
Yeah, long story short, really, really good at combat.
I know. I just like how all the background there, and it was like, and it devolves into like, yeah, actually, they're really good at fighting.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
We at least know that they're real good at fighting, which makes sense. I mean, if you were part man, part horse, you wouldn't need a horse to be good at fighting on a battlefield, right? Because you are a horse.
I would say they're a pseudo common enemy in Daggerfall.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah, and thank you, Dunderhead, for the raid. As we're getting through this this weird post about the old ways and Elder Scrolls lore. But yeah, I mean, I think if you were to summarize this down, it's the old ways are ancestor worship, but the old ways do that because they believe that their ancestors ascended to godhood and affected reality from their point in time onward. And that's just, but I guess that's just kind of, I mean, that's the nature of descending from other people. The world we live in today is what it is because of everybody who came before us.
Right.
So there you go. I guess, I mean, that kind of feels like in philosophical terms, that's a tautology. It's just an obvious thing. It's a thing that means itself.
It's a thing. Yeah. It's a thing that means itself. Yeah. I always love that phrase.
So there you go. That's number 71, the old ways. I don't know if this one is one we can either confirm or deny other than saying, yeah, the Psijics believe in something weird and this is about as close as we can get to it.
Sure. That's fine. It hasn't been really delved into. So like, I guess it's another one of these, like, it doesn't seem improbable, but we don't have enough to go with. So maybe. I mean, there's a book that states this. So it's like, right. So it's got a reference in game.
Yeah.
And it's mostly held by an order who doesn't like to share their knowledge.
Yeah. So yeah, it's totally plausible.
So maybe.
But I guess the other piece of the question is this actually a realistic view of the past? And
sure. And I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's an unreliable narrator once you really start looking at things. So
yeah, maybe. For sure, especially when it comes to creation.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. Those are our icebergs for this week. We've got to take a quick break, and then we're going to go thank our patrons. And we've got the random UESP page. Who knows what it'll be this week? I haven't hit the button yet, but we'll find out. Don't go anywhere.
This is Hamis Morak, Dragonborn, and you are educating yourself to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast.
All right, we are back, and we've got 2 new patrons to welcome to the Patreon. Patreon.com/Elder Scrolls Lorecast. It's pretty easy to find, and you can get ad-free episodes. You can join us for our patron chats. There's other stuff on there as well. And welcome to Jins, JNSSSS, and Lytherian Ruby. Welcome to the Patreon. So glad you decided to join us. And shout outs to our Daedric princes, Kira C, Blinding Vision, Hersine, Peter R, and Mintaka. Thank you for your continued support as well. Also, before we get to our random UESP page, we've got to read out a new review. If you leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it out on a future episode. And this is from Shotgun92 Gaming, who says, absolutely love this show. I came across the show a couple months ago, and I've been obsessed with listening to every episode I can because I'm a sucker for lore of the Elder Scrolls and Fallout. So I'm wondering if maybe they listen to the Fallout Lorecast as well as the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. Who knows? Maybe I should look that up. I bet they left a review. I'll do that on the next episode there. But yeah, it's super helpful. You may not listen on Apple Podcasts, but if you have an account, it helps. And these get spread around the internet. They show up in searches and things like that. So thank you to everyone who takes the time to do that. Any thoughts or last words or things to promote before we move on to this random page?
No, I can give I hate doing teases, but I'll give a very tiny one that I'm working on something else on the side as a project. Mm-hmm. You have been giving me a hand with it.
Yeah, I'm not an official part of it. I've just been helping out.
But you are helping in many, many very helpful ways because I had a couple questions and I'm sure I'll have a couple more as I go. But yeah, you're not like officially part of it, but I mean it ties into the stuff I do, which ties into your network. So I mean it kind of all just one big family anyways, but just stay tuned. I really can't give you more than that because it's still in its infancy, but I am working on a fun little side project that hopefully some people will enjoy.
Hopefully they will enjoy. I wonder, I'm working on a logo and some music for the intro. I wonder if I play the intro, if it'll come through. I wonder if it'll. Ooh. Let me see. Let's.
This is to the intro.
This is just an early hey. Yeah. Let's see if this I don't know. Let's
see if this jives.
All right, we don't have to do the whole thing.
I like it.
But yeah, it's
very
cool.
much enjoyed it. When you sent it to me, I was like, that's oddly similar to what I had in mind, which is strange because I gave you a very, very vague prompt.
Yeah. Can we say that it has, to me, that music sounds kind of retro-y, kind of video gamey, kind of 80s-ish, kind of got that kind of vibe going on. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe that's a hint. But
yeah, I don't
think people will be able to guess what you're doing. But
probably, I mean, or maybe they will and I'll be super impressed. But yeah, it's just a fun little side project that I've been wanting to do, and I've had when I say free time, I've just learned to deal with even less sleep. We'll put it that
way. You're evolving.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, and other than that, the goal is to record an episode of Tales this weekend, but we'll just make sure that we'll try to coordinate schedules for that, because White Strikes Mayhem, or previously Midyear Mayhem, has kicked off as of the recording of the show, which would be Thursday the 6th. Is today the 6th?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So Midyear Mayhem kicked off, or White Strikes Mayhem. So if you like PvP, that whole event went live, and I've been playing a bunch of that since I got home.
Cool. If you're into my stuff, check out the Fallout Lorecast and Retro Recall and the Lord of the Rings Lorecast. I do a bunch of other shows. And if you're curious about the network, robotsradio.net, you can find links to all the shows on the network, including Tales of Tamriel with Lotus and my other shows and a bunch of other shows and all sorts of fun stuff. Also, if you want to start a podcast, I'll help you out. Check out the Rocket Club. It's a thing.
You might know a thing or two.
I've done this a few times. So yeah, there you go.
You've done it more than once, we'll say.
Yeah, I think that's like the true test of things, is like if you can do a thing and then you can also do the thing again and it succeeds both or 3 or 4 times.
Then all right, I think I know at least what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah. And I do this full time. So
yeah, exactly.
There you go. But hey, I've got our random page up. Do you want to guess what game this is from?
It's from Redguard.
No, that would be cool.
It's hoping for Nagasta.
Yeah, well, that would be amazing if we got Nagasta. It's a weird thing from a common game. So Elder Scrolls Online, pretty common.
Okay.
It is the cage covered. So it's under furnishings, undercroft torture.
Yep. I actually know what that is.
It's a big boxed cage with a door.
Big box with a door. Yep. I one of my friends put their banker in there. In their homestead.
Keep him safe. So he doesn't leave?
Keep both.
Yeah.
Okay. They won't get burgled, but they won't be going anywhere.
Yeah. I wonder if you can store souls in it for your currency uses.
Yeah, no, a bank of souls. Perfect.
Bank of souls in the cage covered.
Yes, you just got to get wide souls so they don't fit through the little gaps.
Yeah, that's true. There's a bunch of little, like the holes are looking like hand sized. You could reach through.
Exactly. They got to be bigger than a hand, and then you can keep those souls right in that cage.
Rob the Princess in chat says Lotus was a bit too quick to recognize torture equipment. Yeah, that's what it says here. It says cage tortured is a large. Cage covered is a large traditional furnishing item in the undercroft torture category. That's the description on the UESB. Yep. So, do you want to guess what materials it takes to make? This is the most interesting content we've done in this entire episode, by the way.
So I'm going to say Regulus.
Yes, 14 of them.
Yep, and
there's 5 things.
There's 5 things.
There's 5 things. This requires 5 different things to make. 5 different types of things in different amounts.
I was thinking it was literally like 3.
Yep, 5. So Regulus, Regulus isn't the most common one. There's actually 14 Regulus. There's something with a higher number.
Obsidian.
Oh, no. You're in the right path.
The style type.
Yeah, nickel. 15 nickel.
Really? It's okay. It's interesting. Okay, so I was thinking torture. We're going with Dunmer style, but apparently, Imperial style.
Style, yep. And then 9 alchemical resin, 9 mundane rune, and 3 grain solvent. I don't know. Maybe that's for adhesive.
It's an upgrade material in games, so I guess. Yeah, because I grain solvent's a purple quality thing. So I guess for some reason I thought it was blue quality, so I was going to say dwarven oil. So I only moderately know how to make it off the top of my head. I knew what it was and could only moderately craft it.
Yep, and it's a large housing item. Anyway, that's enough.
Loud housing.
It's probably pretty squeaky when you open those big metal gates.
I was going to say somebody would probably be loud if they wanted out.
That's true.
This is the weirdest tangent we've had in a while.
There you go. That's why we hit the random page on the UESP.
It's true.
Because you get weird stuff. Random. But that's going to do it for this episode. Chat, thank you for joining us. Thank you for the raid. What was the name of it? Dunderheads Official raided us. Go check them out on Twitch. And come join us for our live shows Thursday nights starting at around 8:30 in the evening Eastern time for our Twitch chats. But that's going to do it for this week. Have a wonderful week, and we'll be back next time. Am I forgetting? I feel like I'm forgetting something. We went off on this tangent, and now I'm just like, I don't know. What are we doing?
I'm sure it's fine. We'll only get tons of messages about the thing we forgot directly after we post the show.
Yeah, that never happens. All right. Bye, everybody. See you later.
See you later.
Thanks for tuning in to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. Check out robotsradio.net for more podcasts just like this, and join us on the Robots Radio Discord. Be part of a community of over 5,000 people who are excited about video games and so much more. Robots Radio. Games. Lore. Stories. Community. Just press play.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.